Yay!
Yeah, so we are online, and I will welcome any viewers to this run of the Skeletons. It's a game by Jason Morningstar about being in a tomb when the horrible adventurers come and disturb them. We are all going to play a skeleton and endure this tomb over the years passing by. It's a very light GM-less game, and has some interesting elements of like quietness. So if you don't like that, you're warned. There will be some silence. The first thing we're gonna do is to choose some characters. If you go into the Roll20, I have put all the character sheets in there.
Oh, cool. Have you got a link to the Roll20?
I do. I put it in the chat, but I can.
Oh yeah, I found it. That's right. Cool.
It's the chat, I think.
Yeah, it's the first post.
The first page.
Yeah. Okay, I don't see it. I'm blind.
I'll put it in the other one as well. Here.
And I found it. Yeah, I agree. No, I want to sign in.
There are several different ones. They're basically like very broad concepts. There's the outsider, the horror, the rusted shirt, the arrow shield, the big head, the tattered cloak, the crawler, and the headless. And basically how the characters work in this game, they are pretty much like 3 lines of text, which gives some like basic outline. There's a picture of a skeleton, which you are also allowed to draw on to elaborate a little bit. They have 1 question each, which would is like an element you put into the tomb we'll be playing in. And they have some questions that you can answer during play. In addition to that, there are some memories of names and stuff, and other things that you can use for inspirations. And that's all the character we have. Is anyone? I'm going to blow these up a little bit when you have chosen characters, so you can read a bit better. But to fit them all in, I had to go them down a bit. But you also have the character sheets in the PDF link I sent you before.
Is this a newer version? Because in my version, I don't have a big hat or a crawler. It's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't really remember these being in my first one either, but they are there in my version. So
okay, nice.
New characters, awesome.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any particular one that they fancy?
Yeah, I quite like to go for the arrow shield skeleton because he carries a bearded axe, which is quite important for me.
I can't read it, but I think I want a crawler. I've never seen that one before.
Yeah. Bent in life, bent in death.
Yeah, well, my back hurts anyway.
Yeah, I think
I can identify with that.
I think I'm gonna play the silver torque.
Cool.
Okay, so we have I can just put the ones we have up here. Oh no, I did not do that. There we go. Delete that one. So
got a knife.
Is that big enough that you all can read what is on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I can read it.
Cool.
Ooh.
So the first thing, you can have like a second to look at your character sheets too. But the first thing we'll do now is to draw a map of our tomb.
Yay!
And if you see on your character sheet, there's a question there, which is like a thing that you will put on the map. Do you have any like thoughts on how the our tomb looks, like in terms of like where it is? Is it actually just like a cave, or is it? Does anyone have any ideas for things like that?
I quite like the idea of kind of like almost like an underground, like sort of cathedral type thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I like that. So let's make it's like a rectangular thing with like a pointed end.
Yeah, like that, and like with huge, great big sort of, stained glass windows. Saying there's a dull light that glows, even though we're like deep underground. It could be.
Yeah, that's cool.
I know, but maybe that will screw with it because it's meant to be like we're meant to be in darkness, aren't we? So maybe like it could just be like an underground cathedral with big stained glass windows but no light behind them.
And there could be tunnels around this cathedral that were somehow, and is the word, were somehow created in the earth, burrowed into the earth, and so this whole cathedral is surrounded by these wavy tunnels and these mad tunnels.
Cool. I like that. It's like a sunken. I got this like D&D adventure in mind, almost like with the sunken like city or something.
Oh.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Looking through my character sheet of the arrow shield, it says, observations. Here are some things you might see in the tomb, and it's got an altar and religious objects as well. So that fits perfectly.
Yeah, there you go. You're always meant to be this character.
Yeah.
See.
Where is our tomb? Do we have a drawing?
Yeah, no. I put it under. I started under like it's extremely beautiful, of course. With my pink, that was not meant to be pink. I think. Let's see.
I see. It's not pink.
No, I changed it. I'm still embarrassed. Still very pretty though.
It's glorious.
Yeah, of course. We can start with we can have like our order as the character sheets are. So we can start with the arrow shield.
Oh.
Ready to put your question thing in the... What is your question first?
My question for the arrow shield is, what amazing treasure lies well hidden in the tomb? Where and how? An amazing treasure lies well hidden. Ooh. How about I like the idea of like a jewel encrusted like golden like urn that contains like the ashes of some really powerful kind of cleric or something.
A saint, maybe.
Yeah, saint. Yeah, that's kind of hidden inside the altar.
Yeah, let's make an altar then. Also.
Yeah.
You can draw that on the map wherever you want.
How do I draw?
There's in the top left corner. There's like a toolbar, and there's a pen there, and you put freehand or door shape if you want.
Oh, okay, yeah. There we go. So the altar. I'll draw it in like this. There we go. I've write it there. Shall I write some text? Okay.
Is it marked like in any particular way? This like where the urn is like sunk down into the altar, right?
Yeah, I imagine it's actually inside the altar with like so the altar's got like a heavy stone top, like on top of it. But there's like a secret catch like underneath the altar that makes the tops kind of slide back and reveal the urn underneath.
Cool. So yeah, we have an altar. I'm cool with.
Oops.
Let's see. What is the crawler's question?
I'll have to give me a sec. What does the intricate mosaic, will I pronounce that right? I don't know. That covers the floor depict? Note your answers on the map. Okay, so this kind of is it depicts the saint, obviously, and it depicts him doing some miracles. He wears a large mitra, a large bishop's hat anyway, and a staff, and he looks very strong, I guess. So he has a halo around his head, and he is kind of apparently fighting some creatures that are crawling around him, maybe something with tentacles. I like tentacles.
Yeah, we like tentacles.
That's already established from our Cthulhu love. Cool. Saint.
Okay, so I want to draw a shape. Yeah, I want to draw a shape, but no, not rectangular. It's round. It's supposed to be round, but it has to be regular. Okay, so it's supposed to be round, I guess.
You can do it round. If you
can I do
draw
it
shape,
round?
and then I think you're supposed to be able to.
I think I don't know if I can do this because I'm not a GM. And I can draw thin, small, regular, large, and extra large. Or maybe
if you take the draw shape one and you hold Alt while doing it, it makes a circle.
Ah, okay, I see. That's a nice circle. I'll take that one. I can't delete anything.
I can do that.
I'm sorry. Can you delete the?
Yeah. I think. Well, no, I can't actually. Oh, there. Yeah. Very pink.
Yes, it's
that's the way it goes.
That's they're pink.
Yeah.
Dark pink.
Of course. Let's see. So now for the silver toast question. Oh, what beautiful artifact is enshrined in the alcove of the northern wall? Okay, so I need an alcove of the northern wall.
Text.
I think it's like it's a smaller like it seems almost I'm thinking of it a bit as like what would more like a smaller area where people would talk with the religious person and as in like with just one-on-one. And I think it's like I think it's like there's like a pool there, and it is like very like clear, like very clear blue. It looks almost colored. And at the bottom of it, there's like a this like I think it's like this big blue crystal that like makes, when there was light in the church, it would make like the whole walls in the alcove like sparkle of the light that came into the fountain.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a. Why is everything pink? Damn.
Huh.
I'll make a small. And I think also like the fountain is actually made out of like it has like it's encrusted with gold on top of on like around on the top.
I think there's a lot of gold decorations in the cathedral too.
Yeah, I can imagine it being very, very lavish. Yeah, almost like a kind of like a sort of Roman Catholic kind of cathedral. You know, like everything's really like ornate and like overdone.
Yeah. I do imagine it a little bit like a crossing in between, like I imagine it a bit like in the like Eastern Asia, like Buddhist temples, where there's like this lot of like, well, in that term, like with this like full gold things, with the full gold statues, a bit more like decadent and less, I don't know, it's more like singular colors of things, not like the art in the same way as we have in our churches, but still like a cathedral. If you catch my drift.
I think I get it. So it's some kind of mixture between a classic Catholic cathedral and a Buddhist temple with the statues and the...
Yeah, I don't like, at least like I don't think I want like a actual Christian church.
No.
So like mix it up with a little bit. Maybe have it like this. Yeah. We can figure out like exactly what the religion is during play, but I think like I like the way it's like the cathedral like architecture, the huge like dome and like the space that's in the churches. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And still like have it a bit more like gold and diamonds and less like art of suffering Jesus or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't mind, like that was just my suggestion.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Cool. So,
so is this just an open space, the cathedral, or are there any naves in this? Some kind of a lot of cathedrals have many columns and some niches and alcoves. Alcoves is good.
Yeah, let's put some more things in it. Like we're only 3 people, so we can have like add some more details as well. That's also a lot of fun. Yeah, I really like that picture, Paul.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah, that's a good reference.
Yeah, I like there's to be like pillars as well, maybe.
Yeah, pillars. That was the word I was looking for. Sorry.
Let's draw some pillars.
Yay.
Okay, so cool. Is there anything else we want to have? Let's put some. I'm gonna actually draw the pillars as well a little bit.
Yes.
Like how are they also like? Are we going with the complete gold theme here, or is it are they like other? What colors are these pillars?
I think they are made of maybe they're black with a gold finish.
Yeah.
In the middle or something.
Yeah, I like a color scheme of kind of gold, black, and like a really bright crimson red would be quite good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
It's very grim somehow.
Hey.
I mean, who are we kidding? We like grim. Cool. Is there anything anyone wants to like add in addition to that?
Maybe yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I'd like to have like a large a statue like of the saint, like maybe behind the altar.
Yay!
I think that could be quite good.
That's cool.
Yeah. Shall I add that to the map?
Yeah, do it.
Cool.
I would like to have something underground, a cellar or something, a crypt, maybe. Yeah, crypt. Maybe it's partly hidden or partly caved in, that crypt, but it's still there.
I have like it would be cool to. I have something. I like that, and I think also it would be cool to maybe add something to it. That maybe it is like it's actually a part. Like it's like they are sunken down into the floor, so you can actually see them like in the church when you go in through like the middle. Like they would be actually like.
So there is a sort of window where you can look down into the crypt, or is it an open space where you can just jump down?
I'm cool with both. Whatever you.
I don't know. Maybe both a little. You have this window you can look down, but the crypt is actually a bit larger than the window.
Cool. Just so we can have it on the map as well.
Yeah, why is everything green?
You can change the color of the.
Yeah, I have, but it always starts out with. So maybe that's makes.
Mine's always pink, so.
Okay.
What is the imposing statue like doing? What is its posture?
I imagine it's a statue of the saint with their arms kind of spread wide, like gazing up to the heavens, like almost like in rapture, like with their eyes closed, like that.
Cool.
Like receiving, like maybe receiving or communicating with whatever's above.
Oh yeah, I really like this statue to be like in onyx or something, like since we established it to be like black and red.
Yeah, I like that, and it kind of almost like reflects any light that is in there. It kind of shines and reflects and bounces back off the statue. Yeah, and it's like so highly polished. It almost looks like a black mirror of some kind.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like the idea of mirroring surfaces, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe this stone that was used to build the cathedral, some kind of black stone, it's highly polished, and you can almost see yourself. You can see your shape in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, you get that thing where if you look into a mirror, when you've got a mirror behind you, you get that weird like infinity thing going on. Like maybe you get like a bit of that going on. Like
right.
When you're when you look into the walls.
Cool. And also like your shadow gets like all dark and like almost maybe a little like fleety because of like the weird stone. Oh yeah, cool. I think we got our cathedral.
Yeah, I like the cathedral.
So what we'll do now is to firstly we're going to talk a little bit about how we play it. Firstly, this game is, of course, also we use the X card. So if there's anything that comes up that you are uncomfortable with in a way that you don't want to engage with, then just exit. And we'll skip or fade to black or whatever is appropriate at the time, and just that's not there anymore. It's totally fine. Other than that, I think Paul suggested that we do a little remake of the rules, which we all were cool with trying. What was that, Paul?
Yeah, it was something where I was listening to the podcast where of the Gauntlet podcast. I think Jason Cordova talked about the game, and he says that in his experience, after you have the moment of sort of silence and darkness, you then come out and have to choose like elements like invaders and stuff like that in the team. And he was of the opinion that having that as like a discussion kind of almost breaks the atmosphere that you just created. So he said, in his opinion, if he did it again, he'd just roll on to randomly select like and just go straight into the scene like with that. So yeah, I'd be quite up for doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, you can try it out.
So I think like in each one, there's 3 choices. So if we just roll like a D3 basically.
Yeah. Yeah, roll 20 is good in that way. I like that. I think I see the logic behind it, so it would be cool to just try it out.
Yeah, and then on the time passes bit, there's 6 options. So if we just roll a D6 for that.
Yeah. Let's try that and see. Well, actually, I kind of like the time thing because that's not something that needs to take a lot of time. I kind of like it to choose it because it's a little interesting to get like the to see if there's anyone who wants to like, okay, I'm gonna do like the century or whatever.
Yeah.
To have the options of actually doing that.
Okay, yeah, I like that idea. I like the idea that we have like one random element of the intruders, and then we actually choose the time passes. Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Other than that, I think also we will do in this game. It's not really a scene structure or like people who have narrative control of a scene or anything like that defined. But I think I will do it like that in this game. So we'll have when the person who rolls the intruder will set the scene, and we'll all play the scene still. But we have one person who sets it, and also who gets to make. I think we all, if there's any like confusion about making a decision, we can also refer to that person for doing that. I don't think that will be a problem because we have played story games before. We know how this works. But in case, that's also a possibility to do that. And I think we'll go the same order as the character sheets there as well. If you don't want me to go first, which is also totally fine.
Okay, so which way would that go around? Let's have a look. I can't see where. Oh yeah, yes, that's best. Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So also, is there any questions about how the game works at this point?
I think you two have both played it before, haven't you?
Yeah, but it was a while ago, so
okay,
I'm not.
Cool. Yeah, so if I could do with a bit of guidance on the way it works, like and stuff, but
okay.
Sure. Guide me through.
Yeah. So basically, like how it goes is that there's you choose the intruder thing. The intruder, which the thing you choose or randomly roll in this case, says that you should choose a thing of your of this table, one of these 4 tables. I guess we could roll those too. I guess. Since they are also like a part of the same thing that we want to have less of, like the decisions before, like after the quiet. So it's 4 tables called Glory Fades, Worlds Crumble, God Laughs, and Time Devours.
Oh yeah, okay.
And there are also 6 on each. So basically, when you roll the thing, you do like 1d3 and 1d6. You still have to choose the table though, but that's fine. It's one of 2 tables.
Okay.
On all things.
Okay. So we'll choose the table, but then the roll will be random. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm cool with that. Yeah.
And then
what was that?
You were a bit roboty just for that second, so you got like a, but it was okay, right? Yeah.
Okay.
And basically, like after you, based on this set the scene, we all play. Those questions you have on your character sheets are things that you can try to answer during the scenes. This is the time when our skeletons are conscious, they are control of their bodies. They still have to defend the tomb, though. You can't go against that. And they will also defeat our intruders until they don't. And then it's the end of the game.
Okay. Okay. So the questions on your character sheet, it says answer these as time passes, but you actually answer them during the kind of intruder scene. Not yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how it works.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. So if we are ready to do a scene, we can try it out and see how it goes. First, we can take a moment to feel the silence a little bit and imagine the weight of the countless years that our skeletons have spent in this tomb. I have some even some background ambient noise that is in Roll20. Unfortunately, our dear listeners can't listen to that, but
okay,
it can take a few moments.
Okay, how is this going to work? Like, how do we kind of wake up? Like, do we have someone who says now is time?
I will control that. I can keep a hold of that. I have a stopwatch.
Okay.
And we'll take care of you waking up.
Oh, one thing we haven't done actually. We haven't drawn where our skeletons stand on the map.
Oh yes, this is very important. It's true. Well, we'll do that to some excellent ambient sounds.
Okay. I'd quite like Arrow Shield to be standing maybe like directly in front of the statue. Like completely dwarfed by the statue, like behind them. I quite like that.
I think the crawler is actually hanging on one of those pillars higher up, and I've tried to draw him. I don't know if you see him. He's a bit thin. Okay.
I think the silver Torque stands on one knee before the altar with like a silver sword, a blunt silver sword, which is blunt because it's been standing in the ground, like that is leaning on it, with his head like bowed. Also, while we're on it, actually, let's also like read out the small text behind under our name, so we can have an idea of what our character looks like. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's meant to be a skull with an arrow and a shield above it. God, you wouldn't know that I went to university and did a fine art degree, would you?
Well, it's kind of Scully.
Yeah, I'm having a great time with this.
Drawing is fun. Just remember, drawing is fun. So I don't think you can see that this is a skeleton, but who cares?
It's a great sword, though. What?
He's got a knife. This is a knife. I hope you can. It looks. Nah, oh well.
Yeah.
It's a knife.
This is great art.
It's yeah. The pink one is cool.
Oh well.
Oh, God.
Cool. So just to double check that we haven't forgotten anything else, I don't think. Yeah. Also, yeah, I'm gonna read out my my little text, and then Sabine can go next.
Okay.
I'm playing the silver torque. A beautiful silver torque decorates your collarbone, and you carry a blunt silver sword. But sketch in the details in the illustration. Yeah. Who are you playing, Sabina?
Okay, I'm playing the crawler. Was bent in life. I'm bent in death. I cannot stand upright. I scuttle and crouch like a beast. I carry a much-nicked knife and wear the remains of an elegant fur-trimmed jacket. And I should sketch this jacket in, but I can't.
How about you, Paul?
I am the arrow shield skeleton. A round shield peppered with arrows protects my bones. I carry a bearded axe.
The bearded axe. Cool. So,
sorry.
No worries. So let's have a small moment of silence. I'll ask you to, if you want to, close your eyes. Take a moment to breathe. Feel the silence and imagine the weight of countless years. Arise and protect the tomb, skeleton guardians. An intruder is breaking into the tomb. Now, Paul, you can roll a d3.
I rolled a 3.
Yeah, and if you look at the unsealed tomb.
So, a spirit of place disturbed by the newly built tomb. How do you drive away such an ancient and immaterial presence? Everyone can answer one question if they wish, and then we choose once on either the glory fades or the God's laugh table. Okay. So the tomb is silent and dark. And slowly but surely a low amount of light starts creeping into the tomb from the northern alcove, where the pool of water is. and it's a completely steel surface that almost looks like a mirror on the floor. It's been undisturbed for so long. And this slight blue glow starts to emanate from the pool, and the glow gets stronger and stronger, and it starts to light the entire tomb. And the blue light like reflects back off the polished stone walls and lights up the entire tomb. And then almost like a mist, almost like starts to rise off the surface of the pool, and the mist like condenses into a figure, a vaguely humanoid shape that hovers above, like a few inches, like above the pool. And then sort of just floats away from the pool, like into the tomb, leaving a trail of droplets of water like behind it. And that's our first invader, a water spirit. And I wake. The arrow shield skeleton is behind the altar, and they're the first to detect the presence of this spirit invader. And consciousness floods into my mind for the first time in what feels like forever. And I'm suddenly aware of my surroundings. This is the first time that I've seen light here in this tomb. And my first reaction is almost a sense of awe at the space around me. And the way that the light sort of reflects and bounces around makes it feel like makes it feel like I'm in a space that's 10 times bigger than it really is. I feel a sense of wonder, and then that sense of wonder is dashed in my mind and replaced with a sense of urgency. And I have one thought, and that's that I must repel this invader from the sacred tomb that I've been sworn to protect. So I raise my bearded axe, and my limbs start to move, and a thin layer of dust sort of shakes off of all of my bones as I jerkily start to move towards the alcove, stepping around the altar. And my limbs, like I start to move, and it's completely jerky, like as if I've got no idea how to actually control my body. But with each step, like the movements become slightly more fluid until I speed up, and I'm almost like moving in like a charge with the axe raised over my head. Does someone else want to narrate?
Yeah, I think you see the silver torque like slowly like getting up from their knee stand. It's like, you know, when you sit down on the knees for too long, you get a little stiff. Imagine doing that just for years. And you hear like the creaking, like literal creaking of their bones getting up, and there's like this. They stand up and like with the back, and just like you hear like this crack as their back straightens out. And I think like it turns slowly around with her sword on like in front of their face, and looks out into the church. and there's just like this, what seems to be like a very long moment before the head turns over to the other skeletons, and then also like lastly the spirit. And they put like this sword down again, and I think actually it like goes. You hear like the clank as it hits the floor when the arm goes down, and the silver torque continues begins to move against it with like the sword dragging behind them. You want to go, Sabina?
Sure. Okay. So when life or some semblance of it enters the crawler, you see some sort of dim light come on those eye sockets, and he immediately starts to move very quickly up the column, the pillar. You hear it slightly creak in the bones, but mostly what you hear is the click-clack of his nails on the hard stone. When he rushes up at the ceiling, so he will be more hidden, he's looking for shadow, for shade, for something to hide him from the intruder, because the skeleton with the bearded axe and the skeleton with the sword are probably very good fighters, he figures. So he thinks maybe he shouldn't directly engage, and he will rush up the pillar and then start crawling along the ceiling towards the alcove with the lake or the fountain, because maybe he is going for a source of the apparition, or what he thinks is the source.
Cool. I think I want you to choose on which table now and roll, Paul. Glory Fades or God's Laugh?
Glory Fades, I think.
Yeah, that's a D6.
Cool. I'm still getting used to Roll20.
6.
Hey, scored a 6.
Something the skeletons are protecting is damaged. What and how?
Okay.
Ooh. Does anyone have any ideas?
So maybe I think the fountain might be damaged.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where the thing came from. It's the obvious choice.
Yeah. Yeah. As you like, you walk over, like, how does the crawler like approach the fountain?
The crawler comes from above. He kind of creeps down the wall head first, and he crawls down to the fountain, and he crawls around it uncertainly, looks into it, looks into the glow if he can see anything that matters, that might help against this intruder. Any ideas here? What could it be? Maybe it's some sort of an amulet or something? Or stone?
I think as you like touch the water, it's like started freeze in almost instantaneously.
Oh, that's nice. Yes.
And you see like you hear like the cracking of the ice, just like spreading. Just a second, you get your finger out, like the whole thing is completely frozen, and you see like it doesn't like stop, but like you see the whole thing around it, like it's like frosty and starts like you see like also like the thing around like started cracking with the cold just tearing into it, and the water like expanding.
The crawler draws back a little bit. He was scared, or maybe surprised. More surprised, maybe. and he calls out, when it freezes, hit it.
Yeah, and I think also you see like the spirit probably like freeze, get more solid.
Oh, how about if like at the bottom of this pool, like right at the bottom of it, there's a pile of bones and like a skull.
Oh, nice. Yes. I like that.
Like not laid, not laid out in like a ceremonial way, but just literally like they've just been sort of like chucked in there. And the arrow shield skeleton, he closes on this spirit that's drifting towards him, and he raises his big bearded axe and starts to swing it. Whoosh, whoosh. And it just passes like straight through the mist of this spirit. It sort of cleaves straight through it, but then it doesn't cause any harm. Like the mist just moves out of the way and then reforms like back where it is. And with each swing, whoosh, he remembers a name. And with each swing, the name like becomes closer and closer into his memory, and almost like with each swing, like a letter kind of comes into his name. It's like SALVET, and it's his name. It's his name. It's Salvet, and and then as soon he remembers his name, and he stops swinging and just stands there like motionless as the spirit just passes through his bones and heads on towards the altar. Someone else want to take over? So I have a name.
You have a name. Very nice. You want to go?
I think you see the silver truck like continue to move as the arrow shield Salvet swings through the ghost, and I think you hear like there's almost like this rumbling from like rusty lungs or something, and they say, "No, I am the protector from the dead. Only my sword can lay the spirit to rest." And I think you see like they start like taking the sword up and like starts running how a skeleton can run towards the spirit, and as the sword goes down, it shatters the spirit in the middle. And I think that answered the question, what byname did you earn in life that describes your greatest accomplishment? And it's protector from the dead.
Ooh, nice. Okay, now you've solved everything, or maybe not. So over at the fountain, when you hit the misty phantom, the bones they start actually glowing a bit stronger. They crack exactly where you would have hidden them if that had been a real person, but the glow that still becomes stronger, and the crawler, he gets closer and he reaches out for the skull of that skeleton, and he remembers reaching out in a small space, always in a small space, reaching out for something precious, for something that had to be found, that had to be maybe rescued or maybe stolen even. he remembers always crawling through small spaces and taking something that he shouldn't have. But in this case, he takes the skull out of the fountain, and he tries to shatter the skull against the wall next to the fountain. And I think that actually kind of breaks not only the skull, but also the bones in the water. And the water freezes over and destroys much of what was the fountain.
Yeah, and I think also you see like the skull while you're holding it with his teeth.
That's exactly what he does. When the chattering teeth start chattering, he makes and then he punches it against the wall. And apparently he's left-handed.
And I think as that happens, you see like the spirits leave our skeletons standing frozen once again, waiting for the next intruder to arise. So what we'll do now is to choose.
Sorry.
Choose time passes. You can do that too, Paul, for the unsealed tomb. There's some options there.
Yep. So what was destroyed in the tomb there?
The fountain.
Oh, the actual whole the fountain. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Sure. And the skeleton in the fountain.
Oh, I like that fountain. It was tranquil.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not a fountain. It's a frozen pool of misery and bones. Sorry.
Okay. I'd like to choose a month. I think a month passes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be 20 seconds. Okay, so I'm gonna put down. You can close your eyes if you want. Rise and protect the tomb, skeletal guardians. And now we're at the time of dust. You can roll a D3, Sabina, for intruder.
I can try that. Chat, where are you?
Oh, actually, Mikhail, it says on the unsealed tomb, it says when 2 intruders have been checked off and dealt with, go to time of dust.
Yeah, cool. Rule that. So, take another one on that one then. A D3.
So, I roll a D2.
That's either grave rats or an amateur tomb robber.
We have a grave rat.
I'm afraid it's the grave rats. Oh, very nice. Okay. So we're in the tomb, and then consciousness slowly returns to the sound of some claws ticking around in the almost darkness. The ice from the destroyed fountain still gives off a slight glow, so you can see those little shapes running around and hiding in the corners. They come from the tunnels that have been driven into the cathedral from the earth around it. Some might have even gnawed their way through our windows. It's hard to say what they are doing here, actually, because there's nothing for them except for maybe the bones of some skeletons. But they are running around, and they are starting to gnaw at everything, at the pillars, at the altar, at the statue. Even you can see the one of these rats, and they're not really small rats. They're big rats with they look kind of mean, and one of them is sitting on the shoulder of the saint, and maybe it's even trying to gnaw at the saint's ear or something like that. but they are everywhere, really, literally everywhere. So what do we do against these intruders?
Well, I think your skeleton is the first one to wake.
Oh, my skeleton is the first one to wake. That's
Yeah.
nice. Okay, so the crawler is the first one to wake, maybe because it feels almost kind of kinship to these rats, the way they are sneaking and crawling around, almost like a bit like him. But he is sworn to protect the tomb, so he has to fight these rats. He comes down from the fountain, and he kind of, he takes some of these rats and hits them with his knife. It's not very effective because there are so many, and they are pretty fast. He's also fast, but hunting them down one by one, that doesn't seem to work very well. So he looks around and, cries out, I think we might need some fire to drive them.
Yeah, I think the protector from the dead rises up again from his knee stand, now over the shattered, or what was then shattered spirit, probably now just like some a small, like a very like small peckle of like dust.
Oh, I like the idea. How about if when the pool froze over, the spirit actually kind of froze into like and it's just this sort of frozen sort of statue there.
A shattered kind of frozen statue with these icicles lying around and almost glowing.
Yeah, I think like probably like breaks out the sword from like a small like puddle of ice, and maybe even like their one knee is like the, and then like you see them getting up with like this small like sheet of ice still on their knee. I think they say, "Oh, rats," and then looks over to the crawler and says, "This is something for you."
Can't fight them all. We have this big axe for.
And Salvet, he awakes and sees like the floor of the tomb, like almost like a living carpet of these rats like moving around everywhere, and it jolts a memory in his mind. These rats, and he remembers like what the last thing he remembers is these rats like eating his flesh as he was buried, like he was sealed away like alive in like a tomb. And he remembers let me have a look. Where is it? Sorry, excuse me. Let's get my thing up. And he remembers like a name that was given to him. His name is Salvet the Martyr.
Nice.
And he remembers being sealed away in a tomb for being punished for his faith by the infidels. And they buried him alive, and the rats gnawed upon his flesh until he was nothing but bones. And this brings a rage in him because it makes him remember like the anger that he felt, and he just goes into a frenzy and starts swinging his axe and like cleaving like dozens of these rats, like in half with each swing of his huge axe. And blood sort of splatters everywhere and starts and covers his skeleton.
Yeah.
Well, while this is going about, the crawler is still hunting those rats one by one, and he's good at catching these. He kind of feels, as I said before, he kind of feels them. And when he holds one of these rats in his hand, in his bony hand, and draws the dagger near to stab the squirming creature, but he has it in his left hand, he kind of remembers something with the squirming rat and the name, the word, rat. Rat. Like, used to call him that, but not like he would say, hey, rat, Salt, but as kind of an honorific even, like, that's the rat. Like he could survive anything and go anywhere, and he nearly misses his stab. He stabs the rat and then has a little trouble getting it out of his hand bones, because he remembers that not only these are rats, but also he used to be, at least, called the rat.
Yeah, I think looking at the two other skeletons, ensuing carnage of the stabbing and swinging of the axe, I think you see the silver truck like pick up a rat, and they like pick up another one and hold them in their hand, and they walk over to and what seems to be like a small hole in the entrance, like a small door, like a dog door or something, and take them out, and they remember that her name was Samaria. A gentle soul.
So Salvet carries on swinging and like cleaving his way through until there's only like a handful of these grave rats left, and they're all covering the altar. That's where they've all sort of headed to, and they've all sort of congregated there on the altar. And he like raises his axe like one last time and swings it down. And as he hits all these rats, he sends them sort of all flying sort of everywhere, and puts a big crack like on the stone top of the altar.
Who should we choose? One of these thingies, Time of Dust or Glory Fades or God Laughs? Maybe?
Yeah, your choice.
Yeah, okay. Do I have to roll, don't I?
Yeah, for which one of those? But you have to choose table first.
Yes, I have to choose a table. Oh, well, I'll take the other one. We had the one, and now I take the other one. God's Laugh. No, I think we had, yeah, right, God's Laugh. So, roll 1d6. That's how it works. Yes, and I rolled a 6.
The magic animating one of the skeletons, but not its but not its components of the service, is beginning to fade.
Oh.
Which of the skeletons is this?
Do I choose? Do you choose? Do we all choose? I choose. Cool. Well, who was the creaky one? It was you, right, Mikhail?
Yes.
The one. So I think that was already a sign that that it was happening to you, that the magic was starting to fade.
Or maybe, if I could just interject, maybe it makes sense for Salvet to the magic animating him, because maybe he just struck a blow almost against the altar. So it's almost like the power is like, oh, you're not so much of a martyr now. You're destroying the team.
Yeah, I like that. You're right, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah, I think like actually at that, which is like the ending of this. So it's like Samaria like turning from the door, letting the two rats out, and looking at Salva doing that, and just like taking like her hand out, and like if she had the expression, it would be one of terror, and then the skeletons freeze again.
I like that. Very cool.
Cool. We can I think we're gonna have like a small break now.
Yay! Thank you.
5-minute bio and water break. Do we need more than that, or is 5 minutes fine?
5 minutes is cool with me.
Cool.
5 minutes should be cool. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's meet again at 25.
Okay,
that's cool.
That's good.
Cool. See you soon.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Skeletons.
Hey. So one thing we haven't worked out is like, can the skeletons? Hey, Sabina.
Hi.
Can the skeletons like actually like talk? Can they verbalize? Like, can they?
I think so. I've always just assumed that they can. Oh, and I've taken some. Look, I've got a T-shirt with a skeleton on it.
Yay!
Hey, it's Jack Skeleton from last Christmas, because I thought that was a great idea.
Oh no, I'm the only one without a skeleton. Well,
yeah,
we'll draw you one.
Yeah, on the next break, you have to go into a costume change.
Okay. Yeah.
You've got your skeleton on the inside, Mikhail.
That's true. So yeah, now you get to Sabine, you get to choose the time passes.
Oh,
which one
great.
we have already crossed out. Which was it? A month.
A month.
Oh well, I think it should be a longer time period, because, well, do I have to say count down the seconds? I think.
No, I'll do that.
You do that. Okay, so we'll say that a decade passes.
A decade.
Yes.
Yes, that's 1 minute.
That's 1 minute.
Just gonna find my countdown clock here.
Okay.
There it is. Okay. So our skeletons freezes and wait for our next intruders to come. Arise and protect the tomb, skeletal guardians. So now I get to roll a 1d3.
Mm-hmm.
And we're
in the time of dust.
The time of
dust.
For the 2. A pair of professional tomb robbers. Describe them and illustrate how they work as a team. What object immediately attracts their attention? Can they fight? Everyone answers one question. The killer or killers may answer 2. Choose once on either Glory Fades or God Laughs table. Okay, so I think you see there's like this. It's like it's of course just like a very intense silence, and you see like you hear this like creaking as like the big cathedral door like opens, and you see like a small like ray of light shining in, and you see like all the dust in like the small light, and there's like this like pretty like shrill voice saying something like, "I've heard there are protectors here. Do you think that's true?" And then the door like goes all the way open, and there's like this. You see like this. There's 2 people, like this one pretty like small and forward bent, thin person, and like this bigger one, and the bigger one says like, "No, that's rubbish. Don't believe everything you hear in those fairy tales." Now, where did you? And I think he like as he says that, he says like his gaze catches like the big onyx statue in the front of the altar, and he's like gasps a little. And you see like the smaller ones say, "Oh, so what they said is true. The great protector did live, and there was a church. Well," and a big one says, "Then it means it must also be a hidden treasure here, now, mustn't it?" And I think they start like walking in, and you see like the smaller guy starting to like rummage around, while the bigger one like drags in some kind of like tools, hammers, and the likes. And I think it of course it makes sense that the first one to react is Samaria, as they were standing right by the door. They're like behind this like pillar here, I think, like right with them, so they didn't see them on the way in. They're all fixated by the onyx statue, and you see, I think you see like the sword go up, and like the small ray of light like catches like a small strip of the silver sword, giving a glimpse, and you see like the small, I think the big one coming in with the tools like stiffen up a little bit, and you see Samaris like head like turn towards him.
Oh yeah, I imagine like because they've opened the big door as well. Yeah, so imagine like a gust of wind like comes through, blows in for the first time in like in forever, and this wind like it blows the dust off of like Samira's bones and.
Yeah, and as that happens, I think you see like there's like silver collarbone, also like as like the dust leaves it, and I think you hear like in the entire like room like this bellow. Someone seeks to steal the holy treasures of the great protector. Arise, guardians! And then like slowly moving with like the sword towards the big man standing with the tools like all shaken up.
I think when they stiffen up and still are looking at Samarias, then from the ceiling, as usual, the rat comes crawling down and slowly and quietly extends a finger, taps the smaller one on the shoulder, and hisses at him. And the smaller guy, he just loses it, and he screams, and he stumbles away and falls down.
Yeah, I think he like runs into one of the pillars.
Yes, I like that. And the crawler follows him as far as he can get. He doesn't touch the ground, really. That's the one thing you've never actually anybody saw him do, touch the ground. He doesn't like the ground. He doesn't really know why, but he doesn't like the ground. And most of all, he doesn't like the mosaic or the picture of the saint.
And Salva the martyr awakens, and he's still frozen in the position where he struck his axe upon the altar, and his axe is still like planted in the stone altar where he's put the crack in it. And he wakens like when he hears the call to protect the tomb, he awakens and tries to pull his axe from out of the tomb, out of the altar, and he pulls it out and goes to sort of lift it to swing at the one of the tomb raiders that's approaching, and he can feel like the power that's animating his bones like ebb and begin to fade and flow, and the axe becomes too heavy for him to even hold. And as he goes to swing, the axe just like drops like uselessly like to the floor, and he tries to lift it and he can't, and he just like shambles towards one of the tomb robbers, like just dragging the axe like behind him, and these sort of sparks like come up off the floor as he's pulling it. And he thinks to himself, why, great protector, have you forsaken me? You know, all I've done is serve you. Why are you forsaking me? I want your love, your power, your respect, and you don't give it to me.
And I think you see like the bigger one, like looking at your like sorry sight, and like take up a hammer from like a pretty like big hammer from his toolkit and says, "No, look, they're weak. Nothing to be afraid of, Frankie boy." And it like I think he like goes towards tries to like try to like go towards the altar and like try to push Salvet out of the way.
And yeah, he manages to do it. Like Salvet is like, he's repulsed by the presence of these tomb robbers, and as the tomb robber like reaches out and like just literally pushes him out the way, like he's a piece of furniture or something. You know, he feels intense like disgust when he feels this flesh like upon his bones. Yeah, it absolutely repulses him that these living beings, these infidels, like have touched his bones. And he's pushed out the way. He literally is pushed, and he kind of falls like against one of the pillars, like head first, and he just like falls like bang, and he's just there against the pillar, like.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna roll for the table now. See, that's a good point to do that. Let's see. I'm gonna choose the God's Laugh table.
God's Laugh.
D5. We got a 2.
Oh, okay.
A skeleton's appearance is altered in some way. Perhaps they are marked by fire or magic. I think actually you see like this. I'd like to suggest that what happens is that this like repulsion and anger in Salvet somehow makes his like hands burn.
Holy fire.
Yeah, I like that. When he's touched like by the infidel, it makes him feel like like there's an impure, like corrupt fire like burning within his bones. And maybe like there's the print on his rib cage of where he was like pushed out the way, and it starts to smoke and like smolder. And whilst he's there, like head first, leaning against the pillar, this flame kind of spreads, and his entire like rib cage like turns into embers and starts to crumble away.
I think you see Samara is like like running, changing direction, like running towards Salved instead, and like I think she doesn't actually. Well, she tries. I think you see like her trying to stop, to help you, but her compulsion is stronger, and I think like he runs past and like pierces the big guy in the back, like with the sword, so he falls over onto the altar, and I think what I'm answering here is whom did you once love? And I think I loved Solvet.
Oh, nice. I like that. May I?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Because I would like to, as Samaria slays the big robber, I think the smaller dude is in kind of a panic because skeletons, magic fire, and then there's this thing hanging from the ceiling and hissing at him. And that's actually what the rat tries to do. He tries to chase the robber from the grave before he's killed, because, come on, robbing a tomb doesn't seem so very bad to him. So he hisses.
So the rat is not like a pious disciple of the Great Protector.
Apparently not. He doesn't want to touch the floor. He especially doesn't want to touch the mosaic. I don't think he was here very willingly. So he tries to chase. He chases the small robber from the tomb, and as the small robber runs out, he hisses at him in a very dry and raspy kind of voice. Don't come back.
Excellent. And as Samaria like gets revenge for Salvet, stabs the big Tomb Raider in the back, Salvet is reminded of the fierce loyalty that he once felt towards Samaria. And the fact that she has just saved him in death reminds him of a time when she saved him in life as well. And that answers my question. Who here amongst the skeletons did you feel fierce loyalty towards, and why?
Yeah, and I think as you see like the big guy like falling over the altar, you see this like I think it's like a necklace around his neck, and like Samaria is like grabbing it, and it's like a symbol of I think it's of a like a mailed fist, so like a armored fist with like a rose in it, and this is a thing that once Samaria owned, and I think you see like as she freezes, you see and her hand like falls down to the altar. You see like the flower starts to like grow, like the silver flower starts to grow onto the altar. I'm gonna mark it on the map. The silver rose.
Maybe they start growing out of the crack that's in the middle of the altar.
Oh yeah, from the axe. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I think there's like more of them now. Actually, like the whole like crack is like filled with these silver roses.
Are there any of these on the mosaic? Of these silver roses?
Yeah, there is now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think so. Like there's actually, I think there's, you see these silver roses from like the dead bodies of these like tentacles that the Great Protector slew.
Oh, cool. Very nice.
Cool. For once,
So-
the pink was actually. Yeah, and I'm gonna choose for the time. I'm gonna choose. Let's see. Let's say a century, so we can get one of those other things as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, a whole century! Wow.
And we have to roll on the words crumble or time devours. Ooh.
I like worlds crumble.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna do that. 5. Gold and silver dull, iron rust, hollow fade to a sepulchral gray. Notice on the map.
Nice.
So yeah, all of the ornate like gold sort of flourishes start to tarnish and dull. Oh, that's sad.
Cool. So, and now we have 2 minutes of silence as our skeletons freeze into their position, waiting to be called upon again. Let's see. You may close your eyes if you want to. Arise and protect the tomb, skeletal guardians. And that's back to Paul.
We're still on the time of dust, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'll roll a d2. 1. Oh, this was the one I was hoping we didn't get. This one looks horrible. Okay, a family still seeking shelter invades the tomb. Are they refugees? Are they monsters? Everyone answers one question if they wish. If someone slays the matriarch, then they may answer 2. Okay. So the door to the tomb has been open for centuries now, because it was left open as the tomb robbers like fled. And there's been like this entire time, for these centuries that have passed, there's been a gentle like wind like blowing in to the cathedral. And the wind carries voices, and that wakes us. It wakes the skeletons guarding the tomb. We hear these voices, multiple voices, being blown in on the breeze. So we're already awakened by the noise of these intruders before they arrive.
Mm-hmm.
And then they step in like through the tomb door, and it's a family. There is a mother, there is a father, and then there is a son, and there is a daughter. The two children are very young. Like one of them, there's the young boy is maybe 6 or 7 years old, and the girl she's still a baby in arms. She's being carried by the mother, like. And they stop at the door and gaze into the tomb, and the father turns around to the mother and says, "Our pilgrimage is finally over. This is it. We gaze upon the cathedral of the great protector. Hopefully he will hear our prayers and alleviate the doom that is upon our pious family."
And from somewhere near the ceiling comes a dry, quiet chuckle, like someone's mocking these words, faith. Like it's very quiet. It's hardly audible over this noise of the wind, and you could think it might just be the wind.
Oh yeah, and I like the idea that the kind of wind makes the laughter kind of echo off all the walls. So you can't. It's kind of sounds like it's coming from everywhere. Maybe it sounds like it's more than just one voice.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you see like Samaria turning around with the silver sword, and you hear this like whisper through the hall. Edla, no, not you.
And Salvet the martyr, he sees this family, these pilgrims enter, and he feels no need to cleave them in two with his great bearded axe. I mean, he couldn't even if he wanted to anymore. He doesn't. He feels the power like just ebbing away, like out of his bones. Like before, when intruders came into the tomb, he was woken with a ferocious, fierce power inside of him, and it's not there anymore. It's almost like it's just a trickle of consciousness now, just in his bones. So he turns to face the family, and he drops his axe where it stands onto the floor. Yeah. And he walks slowly, like towards the family, like dragging his feet through the dust on the dull, tarnished kind of golden tiles. And he spreads out his hands like his bones are now all charred and blackened, and he spreads out his hands open wide and walks towards the pilgrims as if to welcome them.
I think the father steps in front of the mother and lifts his does he have a club maybe? And he says in a quivering voice, "Don't be afraid. This is just a test sent by the great protector. I will stand against you, creature of darkness."
I think like the woman says to the children, like, "Don't be afraid. In the house of the protector, we'll always be safe," just like Samaria told us.
Ooh, cool. And you hear this noise again, this chuckle, but when she says that, it kind of breaks off, because up in the ceiling, the rat remembers a very different place, but the same, not exactly the mosaic, but the same symbol on the ground. And there was a young man standing there, and he was captured and he was bound, and someone had a sword or a bearded axe maybe to his throat. And someone said, "Rat, come out. It's either you or him." And in this moment, he remembers this young man's name. It was Phoeben. And he remembers Phoeben, and he remembers that he couldn't live without him. So he crawls to Phoeben's captors and says, "No, let him go. Let him go. I will do what you ask of me." And they drag him onto the mosaic, and well, then he remembers pain. That's mostly what he remembers. But he remembers also Phoeben crying and shouting, but being alive. And that was who he once loved, this young man. Now he can't laugh anymore, but he still feels the compulsion to protect the tomb against the intruders, and he can't help it. And he'll scuttle down the pillar and take a swipe at the woman, just a swipe, not to hurt her, but to make her run away. And she cries out, and the husband turns around waving his club.
Yeah, and I think you see Samaria like running in between like the what was probably like the benches or whatever of the cathedral, like full like skeleton speed with their sword like thrown out and slice, and like you hear like the scream of "No!" and then like slices into the man's shoulder and wrenches like the sword into his stomach, and you see like the blood splatter on her skull, like hissing to the other people there. "There is no Samaria to protect you here." And what connects? I have they are my my family. I think I think in the cloister where I used to, or like the monastery that I used to live, I took care of this woman, and although I didn't have a family, she was closest to the thing that I had, and her name was Edla.
And does this woman remind you of Edla?
No, it's a century, so it's still it could still be that person. She was a kid then, though.
Okay. I mean, all Salvat the Martyr wants to do is to serve the Great Protector here. These are the Great Protector's disciples, his worshippers, and so he wants to win back. He wants to, because all he feels for the Great Protector is love. He just wants to serve the Great Protector here, and he feels like he's welcoming the pilgrims, and he just wants to win back the love of the Great Protector, and he's conflicted because here is someone who he once felt fierce loyalty to, like Samira, and she's driving away the first worshippers that this tomb has had for centuries. And he just feels intense sorrow and doubt. He feels doubt about his love for the Great Protector now.
Ooh.
And he's there in front of this family, and he drops down onto his bony knees in front of them, like, and raises his hands up to the heavens, like echoing the pose of the Great Protector's statue.
Should I play this station, Pokes FM?
Oh, sorry. I've got an Amazon Echo sitting right there, and I just said the word Echo, and it just.
Should I play this?
No, shush. Oh, sorry. I turned it off. Okay, so yeah, so he's there. He's there, like, sort of, offering himself up to these worshippers, and watching as they get massacred by Samaria.
Well, I think the mother will throw herself onto the corpse of her husband with a baby in arms because she's so desperate, and the boy just is horrified. He's rooted to the spot. I think we should roll.
Whoosh.
Who's rolling? Paul, you're rolling.
Yeah, and it's on the Glory Fades or God Laughs table. And we have, a D4 and a D5 then. For D5 for Glory Fades and a D4 for God's Love.
Yeah.
You muted Paul, I think.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, we've already chosen a few off there, so we just roll a D4, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Where is this?
1.
Don't know. There. Oh.
Oh, that's perfect.
So a skeleton's weapon is broken, bent, or rendered useless.
Ooh.
What will they do? Note it.
Yeah, I know who this is. I mean, it's definitely Samara. I think you see, like, after like the sword going through the like man, I think you see her about to, like, like attack. I think the like one of the children. I think you see that it's very, like, you see, like, the hand shaking, and just as it, like, swoops down, it goes off the path a little bit and hits the floor very hard, so the sword breaks.
Ooh.
Oh,
Nice.
so what? So as you're about to cut down the woman and the baby, what, at the last second it moves. I wonder if that was Salva is there, and he's watching this, and at the last moment, as your strike kind of misses and goes wide, he wonders whether that was you, Samaria, having a last minute change of heart, or whether it was divine intervention from the Great Protector protecting his worshippers.
Well, the rat is still compelled, though. He would like to stop himself, because what's the use of killing women and children? There's no profit in it or nothing. But he's still compelled, and it hurts. It hurts being compelled. And he remembers Phoeben, and he tries to make them run away like he did with a grave robber. But the woman, she is just so desperate, and she clings to her husband. But the boy runs. The boy runs away. He can't bear it. And the rat will savage the woman. He'll try to not kill her, but that actually makes it worse, because it just keeps wounding her unless someone is able to stop him.
I think you just see like the scene fade out with Samaria with this skeleton with this woman in her hands, being all silent and frozen, and you probably see like the other skeleton slowly freeze up as well.
Yes, like that. Ugh.
Yep.
So what happened to your sword? Did it like shatter or?
It broke in two. It's now like half. It's half a sword.
Nice.
Okay.
Or maybe there was actually a shard from the sword that killed the little girl when it broke. Or the boy grabbed the little girl and ran with her. If we want to be nice.
Yeah. Let's have the little girl get away too.
Yeah.
Happy with it just being the woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you see like I think that's like the end, like when you see like some area with her in her arms, and you see like the child like looking at like terrified at her dead mother, and you see Samara lift her head like a little bit, and like very slowly, and you see like the light like hitting the skeletal face again with like the blood splatters, and the child is like starts to scream and like just runs away.
Okay.
Okay, so now we need to choose on the time passes table. So did we choose a century before?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be up for going like all out and doing like a millennium.
Sure.
Do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Fucking hell, that's a long period of time, isn't it?
Yeah. If I fall asleep, wake me up. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You see how skeletons freezes up, and the silence.
Wait. Do we have to choose on the words crumble or time devours before we close our eyes or after?
Sure, we can do that.
We do it before, yeah. Okay. Have we chosen? Do we have Worlds Crumble before, or was it Time Devours?
I have no idea.
Oh, we had Worlds Crumble
we had
before.
Worlds Crumble.
Gold. So let's go for Time Devours then.
Yeah.
So I shall roll. So that's a D6, isn't it? Because we've not had this one before.
Yeah.
Three.
1, 2, 3.
A crack develops, creating an opening for robbers and other vermin. I think it should be like we've got that cave in, like in the middle of the thing. Like I like the idea that like a huge like crack, like almost like a earthquake kind of crack, like opens up in the middle. You know, it's like a huge, almost like it makes a big like ravine, almost like in the middle of it.
But the mosaic is it still intact, or does the crack go through that?
I like the fact that I like it that the crack would go through it. So maybe like the crack like kind of starts like at the wall here, and it goes like all the way through like across the mosaic and stops just short of the altar.
Yeah.
Draw it in.
Okay, I'll draw it in. Sweet. I'll draw it freehand.
Ooh.
Very exciting. I don't know what happened to my skeletal arm. Damn.
Ooh.
There we go. Got a big crack.
That's a big crack.
Yeah. Cool. So the silence once again is the ever present in the room, and our skeleton freezes, waiting for their next the next encounter with intruders to the tomb. You may close your eyes if you want. Arise and protect the tomb, skeletal guardians.
Ugh. So bright, everything.
Okay, so we move on, don't we, to
Yeah.
the desecration.
Ooh.
Yeah, so the game ends when we feel that we have spent 10 or more minutes in the game in the dark across the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever someone feels like we have, we can say that.
I've been logging it, actually.
Yeah, let's not rely on feelings. So, but first, at least there is a scene. There's Sabine's turn to
to roll. Ooh. Want some of my descendants, please? Nope. 1. From the thunderous presence of bandits with shovels, picks and axes, obsessed with greed. Very nice. Okay, everyone answers none, 1 or 2 questions as they prefer. Choose each one. Okay, we'll do that later. So, the skeletons come awake as through the crack a hole. Well, it's kind of an odd company that enters. They appear to be, now some of them appear to be veterans. They wear uniforms and they seem to be military people, but they've teamed up with some rather disreputable looking guys or girls. The leader of the whole company is a woman. She's very tall, broad-shouldered, so even has one eye, and no hair that you can see because she's wearing sort of a scarf around her head. She almost looks like a bit of a pirate, but the way she moves suggests that she is ex-military. She knows how to talk to the veterans. And while there is a lot of tension between the veterans section and the scum section, maybe I call them, she seems to have them mostly under control. They enter the tomb of the Great Protector. They
could I make a suggestion?
Yeah, sure.
How about if like they the way they enter the tomb is like through that big crack that's the floor. If they come through in like a vehicle of some kind.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Like a big vehicle that's got a big like drilling, like a big drill on the front of it, and they just like drill up through the rock.
Yeah, I like that. There's a big drill on that thing, and it's making a lot of noise, and there are some noxious black fumes coming out of them, further besmirching the whole stone walls. And the smell, well, I don't know if the skeletons can smell, but they can hear and see, so they might. And the smell is terrible. It's really terrible. It's tarry and kind of, I don't know, musty maybe.
Yeah, we've never smelt diesel fumes before.
No, and the uniforms are very unfamiliar. The symbols the people are wearing are pretty unfamiliar. There is one of them, that's one of the scum guys. He wears something that almost might look like priest's robes, if priests had ever worn such shabby robes. And he has a symbol, one of the symbols of the Great Protector, that he carries in front of him and mutters some prayers in a weird accent. And these people, they are talking really funny. It's even hard to understand, all of them. Yeah, and one of the scum guys just breaks from the formation and runs towards the altar and the statue and says, "It's gotta be here," or something like that at least. And he runs towards the crack, and his eyes are shining with greed. And the leader says, "No, come back, let's do this." And oh my God. just as this guy runs towards the altar, and he totally ignores the corpses lying on the ground and the skeletons hovering over these corpses.
Salvet the martyr wakes from his millennium-long slumber, and the power within his bones it's barely there now. It's like it's so faint. It's something, it takes a Herculean effort to just move like a single limb. But he gets to his feet. And he starts to move really slowly, like one step after the other, like up towards the altar. And he stands like behind the altar as this plunderer comes like running towards him.
The plunderer just stops. And he says something like, "I think you think it's a living skeleton. Oh my gosh."
Yeah, I thought we only see these in the movies.
Yeah, something like that. And someone from behind starts doing something with the stick and points it in the direction of Salvet, and something in the stick goes off, and there's a boom, and something flies through the room. It doesn't hit Salvet, but it hits the statue behind him, the statue of the martyr, the saint, and there is a ping, and some stone breaks off the statue.
Yeah, and I think at that you see Samara like rise with still like this what is now the skeleton in her arms. I think you see even like the skeleton kind of like dissolve and like the different parts like breaking, like going off and like just falling down. And you hear like in the tomb, there is only one punishment for desecration of the holy relic of the great protector.
Yeah, I think at that point the rat hanging at the ceiling and getting into a position to attack the leader, he remembers those words. Oh, he remembers those words, and that's not a very pleasant flashback when he remembers that someone in the same voice, a woman, maybe that was Samaria, said that to him as she wielded the knife and carved away his flesh. Ooh. And he really, really would love to attack something right now. So he, with a screech, he just jumps down from the ceiling and jumps onto the veteran woman's body and just scratches and hits her with his knife, but she's wearing armor, so he's not really getting anywhere. He's not a fighter. But there's a lot of confusion now that something dropped from the ceiling, and everybody is running around and looking up and down and everywhere.
And I imagine there's a whole group of these plunderers like make their way like and gather around the altar, and they're like, the reliquary, the treasure, it must be here somewhere. And one of them like sort of smash it, like it's got like a big weapon, a alien looking weapon, or something.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like like a huge like sledgehammer type thing, or no, like a pickaxe. And he's like, oh, get this pile of bones out the way, and he sort of slams the pickaxe down, and it goes straight through like the top of Salvet's skull, and
oh no!
And it crumbles his skull, and he drops, like Salvet drops down to his knees, and he can feel like the power like ebbing away from him. And he thinks to himself, why have I been forsaken? I spent my life in the service of the great protector, I martyred myself in the name of the faith of the Great Protector. I've spent countless centuries, millennia even, protecting the sacred tomb of the Great Protector. And this is how the Great Protector repays me.
Yeah, that Great Protector is an asshole.
Yeah, and I think at that happening, I think like Samaria continues, and it's like the only way to repay your debt is by eternal protecting of the tomb, just as we did. And I think you see like her like arm goes up, and you see like this other like all the small rat corpses and the corpses of the other people who died here, like starting to rise.
Nice.
Oh yeah, the corpse of the big fat tomb raider kind of raises.
Yes, and of the dad, and of the pilgrim and his wife.
Yeah.
And the rats.
And all the rats.
And all the rats. Well, quite a lot of rats.
Mm.
So should we roll?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna see here. That's how many do we have on each here now? It's 2 of each, right?
No, I think we have a lot more on Glory Fades left.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the Glory Fades. We have.
I think we all only had something that the skeletons is protecting
2.
on is
no,
lost.
we have 2. The magic.
Yeah.
We had we had number 1 and number 2.
No, we didn't have number 1. The magic compelling one of the skeletons to service.
Oh, you're right.
Energy.
You're right. We had the one of God's laugh, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The magic animal one listens, but not its compulsion to service, as we begin to think. Yeah.
1d5.
Yeah.
See? The 1.
A 1. Ah. And the magic is compelling one of the cells to serve. Is to service is beginning to finish.
Can Salvat the Martyr have that affliction?
Sure.
Yeah, totally.
Please. Oh, so as Salvat is like, he's kneeling there with like a pickaxe like through his skull, in front of behind the altar, and the altar's being swarmed by these plunderers, and they're like they start whacking it with their pickaxes, trying to crack it open. And Salvat like reaches with the last of his energy, reaches forward like underneath the altar and pulls like the secret lever like underneath, and the top of the tomb where the crack is with the silver roses on it slides apart, and the gold, the golden jewel encrusted urn that contains the sacred remnants of the Great Protector like rises on like a little plinth, like in front of them, but the gold of the urn has tarnished and has gone dull, and the jewels like they don't glitter anymore. They've all dulled.
Well, that's the moment where the priesty type kind of guy steps forward with this glint of greed in his eyes and says, yes, finally. And the leader cries she's still under attack by the rat, and the rat is still pushing his dagger at her, and at one point he will make it to her jugular vein and cut it, so she will go down. And the rats are swarming over the remaining tomb robbers, the rat skeletons, and the skeleton, the human skeleton, can't help it. He has to fight them. He doesn't want to. He really, really doesn't. He remembers being like them, but he can't help it. The spell was too strong, and what Samira said is true. He is cursed with eternal service. And as the priesty type kind of guy grabs the urn, the wretch runs up to him on the ground, which he hates, and he hamstrings him with one cut of his knife, and the priest falls down, and the rest is down to Samira, I think.
Oh, can I just say, can I jump in just for a second?
Sure.
Yeah, and as you hamstring the priest, Salva like reaches across the altar and grabs the urn out of the priest's hands, and he's like holding it and the priest like drops to his knees, and Salvat's holding the urn, and they're both like grabbing onto the urn, and Salva, this is the first time he's spoken in his entire time in serving the tomb, and he says, "If I, Salvat the Martyr, cannot have the Great Protector's love, then nobody can." And he like smashes the urn like down onto the altar top, and it just cracks open, and the dust, the ashes inside, just like go like everywhere.
Whoa. And the rat laughs. He laughs, and at the moment the urn shatters, he remembers that his name was once. Let me look at it. His name was once Ursant. And he laughs at it, and he says, "Yes, well done," as he cuts into the priest tomb robber. But this act of rebellion on Salvat's part, that really gives him life. Kind of.
Yeah, I think you hear like the whole. I think you hear like the whole like tomb shake, and Samara is no, and she says, "Salvat, who I once loved me and promised me eternal loyalty, and my brother, all forsaking the love of the Great Protector." And then I think like she takes like the small like end of the sword and just like runs and cleaves the last person in the skull.
Yeah, and as the power that animates the skeletons fade, and as the tomb robbers run, Ursant will hiss at Samira, "Torturer."
Yeah, and I think I think as he says that, Samira like turns to him, and I think I think you see like it almost looks like a tear, but it's like, of course, just from like ash that's their face, and you also see like the back of her skull through her eye sockets, extra dark, and it's almost as Samara is trying to like fight an obsession to hit you as well with the rest of the sword, but then says, "You are a rat in death as you were in life, brother."
I think that's a very nice point for everyone to freeze, unless Salvat wants to add something.
One final thought just goes through Salvat's mind before he returns to his millennial-long slumber, and that's the thought that his love for Samaria and the Great Protector lasted a lifetime, but his betrayal will last for eternity.
Very lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we see like with that, like I think it's like on you see Salva's face, and I think you almost see like as the camera is on him, you almost see like it's a small moment where it looks like his face is like human again, and then it's just like you see the darkness like fall over him, and it's still just like the skeleton.
Nice.
Nice.
Cool.
And then darkness falls.
Yeah. Does it fall forever, or do we do another one? Because I have the feeling that I think this would be a nice kind of point to end this.
Yeah, I think so. I think we should sit in silence for a while, and then
Yeah.
I don't know. Then maybe we could have like a really short like epilogue from each person, if we want it.
Yeah, or we could have that some people come and destroy us forever. Destroy this grave forever. That might be nice, yeah.
Yeah, that is how the game is supposed to go. Like if we would play it as written, like our next scene is probably like the scene where they actually take us.
Okay.
Yeah. Shall we roll that? Should we roll with that then, and play the scene where
I like that.
We're done. Like, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
okay.
how much time passes? I think we have some an age. Let's have an age. We didn't have that yet.
We did not.
Okay, so we need to choose on the tables, don't we? On Worlds Crumble.
I like. How many have we left in Time Devours? Because I like the word Devours.
It says for an age, it says choose one each on Worlds Crumble.
Choose one each. Very nice.
2d5 then.
How many did we have on Worlds Crumble?
One of both.
Oh, okay. So I'll just roll 2d5 and I'll do it the right way. Yeah, right. And I did it the wrong way because I used the wrong chat. But I got a 3 on Worlds Crumble. So the great sarcophagus splits open, spilling out its contents. What was within? Adjust the map.
Ooh.
So I guess we already covered that.
Well, it's good. Maybe it's something else as well. Maybe there's something else inside, not just the urn.
Not just the urn. You think that maybe the altar, something in the cracked altar, something still falls out.
Ooh, yeah, nice. I have a suggestion.
Cool.
Maybe it's like some of these tentacles.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Okay, very nice. And we got Time Devours. And we got a 5. So that's wood, cloth, hide. Is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Hide.
I'll just read that. Wood, cloth, hide, horn, and unenchanted bone all turn to powder. Note this on the map. Well, we didn't have much of wood and cloth. So.
A lot of bone, though.
Yeah. Well, maybe the mosaic crumbles up because those were ceramic tiles, and they just split apart, and the whole mosaic looks really broken down. You can hardly know what it once used to be. Oh, or maybe the statue toppled.
I like the statue to still stand. That's the last thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's just like this big pile of like white bone dust in front of the altar, where the robbers used to be. And if you yeah. And also the Edla and her husband is powder. And all the rats, there's like small sprinkles of white powder everywhere.
Yeah.
And now we have a silence for 5 minutes.
Okay.
That will definitely push us over for our required 10 minutes, that's for sure.
Sure. Okay.
So the silence falls over the tomb once again, and you close your eyes for the Arise and protect the tomb, skeletal guardians.
I'm arising. Guys, I have to go to get rid of my beer thingy. I'm just. I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
I'm just gonna roll the D2 meanwhile.
Mm-hmm.
What finally gets us? Oh, some of your descendants.
Oh, perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a good idea for this.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm.
This is a very like comfortable game to play after a day at work.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the silence part. Mm.
That's nice.
Yeah, reminds me of when I do yoga practice, and there's a posture at the end called Shavasana, which translates as the corpse pose, and you just sort of lay on your back with your hands and your feet kind of spread out, and close your eyes, and completely detach like from your body, but you're still present there, but you kind of let your entire body sort of go, and it kind of reminds me of that, which is very relaxing.
Yeah, it does also sound a little easier than playing a whole game of skeletons after every day. But it's a nice it's a nice thing put in a game though. It's pretty clever, I think.
I can imagine if you're playing like with a group sitting around a table, and you all stand up and then turn the lights out and just stand there in silence. I think I can imagine it'd be very, very powerful. Like, feeling everybody else there in the room, but like not being able to see them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably like adds another like layer to it.
Sorry.
Hey, that's fine. No problem.
So we rolled some of your descendants.
Oh.
And I think, yeah.
After maybe it's a rediscovery of the Great Protector.
Yeah, I have an idea. I think you see like it's been so long. There's this pretty like thick layer of dust and like web everywhere, and you see like these piles of the benches that used to be in front of the altar, and the corpses. Everything is gone except the big statue of the Protector and the skeletons. All pretty like close to the altar where the last altercation was.
Yeah, and around, I imagine like around the altar, like where all the corpses fell, and like there's this layer of dust and bone powder, and it almost looks like snow. It's like 8 inches deep, like on the ground. Yeah, and it's like there's been a snowfall like around the altar.
And instead of being black, the cathedral is now a pale gray. Actually, everything is hung with dust webs, and the colors have turned around from this glittering black to this dusty, quiet, almost soft gray.
Yeah, and I think you see it like you hear like the church door creaking open once more for the first time since the young girl, the daughter of Edla, ran out and slammed the door behind her. And there is once again, but this time like a bigger following of people. They seem different from the ones who were last time. Their clothes are ragged, and their faces are worn. And there's this one this woman who has this map. She says, "Supposed to be here." Says, if in the halls of the Great Protector, once again, you will be safe. And the man standing next to her turns to her and says, I hope you're right. I'm not sure we can carry on much longer.
That is the moment where Ursund rises from the dust. He rises slowly, and he was always so quick, but there's dust in his joints, and everything is not. It's not creaking; it's grinding. It's like bone against bone. It's a weird noise. It's a painful noise. And his head turns his head towards the mirror and says, "Well, what do you think? Should we kill them, all of them, in the name of the Great Protector?" Even his own martyr deserted him.
I think there's this long silence, and you see Samaria like look over at I think you look over first at Salvat and then at you, and then she says, "They look like us. When we first entered the humbler church of who once was the Great Protector."
I wouldn't know. I only stole from the Church of Great Protector.
And Salva wakes, and he's there, like behind the altar, and the tentacles that have sprouted up from where the altar is split open, they've curled, they've like wrapped themselves around him, around his skeletal, his crumbling sort of skeletal frame, and the tentacles, they've wrapped around all of his limbs, and there's two tentacles have like sort of gone in his empty eye sockets. And come out of the top of his skull where the big pickaxe hole is, and he realizes that he's been cocooned in the embrace of these vile tentacles for an eon, and it's the first time that he's felt comfort since he lost the love of the Great Protector. And he has no power to move. You know, the power that the Great Protector granted him has faded almost completely. So he just observes and watches the disciples enter the team.
Yeah, I think Samaria like tries to move towards the people, like almost you see like her legs like slowly like dissolving into the same like white snow as she moves towards them, and then I think that says like, "No, I'm not gonna. I hope you find protection."
Let me go, Samira. Let me just go.
And I think Samira turns to you and says, "No, you will never be released. You will protect these as you protected us." And then I think like Samira like dissolves, like falls down to the floor, and like slowly, like you see the turning into like white dust.
Narset gives a kind of a desperate, dry, raspy howl, and he jumps from the pillar where he was hanging at those people entering the temple, but he jumps short. He's not as nimble, maybe because of the dust or maybe because of everything that has happened, that he falls short. He doesn't fall. He falls in front of them and he hisses at them. What he says is, "Kill me or I will kill you." And he lifts his dagger to them, and then somebody gets out a massive club or hammer or something. And there is a little scurry, I think, but in the end they will pound him down to dust. The only thing you will hear in those halls after this is just those words, "I will protect the Great Protector. May he suffer eternally like I do."
Yeah.
And Salvat's very last thought before his consciousness fades into the void, into the eternal blackness forever. It's
bye-bye.
Once again, I'm confronted in my final moments with heathens and infidels.
Yeah.
Prey protector.
Yeah, thanks for the game, guys. That's it, I think.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, very nice.
Wow.
I liked some of it.
Oh, I loved that had a really strange like energy level to it, that game. Like it started off quite high tempo, and the longer and longer like our breaks went, because I noted them down. We had 20 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. So they kind of just got bigger and bigger. It seemed to like quite literally like sap the energy out of us, you know, as characters, like as you know the skeletons, but also as players, like as people. Like that last scene was just really somber and quiet and no energy in it, and yeah, it was really. I thought it was really interesting how the fiction actually was mirrored like in our real life kind of energy levels as well.
Yeah.
And I think that those big long pauses kind of did that. It kind of brought us down each time.
Yeah, I also kind of liked how that was a thing I didn't notice as much in the first time I played it, is that it was much like clearer to me how the game is maybe also themed about like that slow desecration of like belief in a way. That, I mean, I think that also plays into like what you said as well, that it was like from like the fervent belief of protecting the tomb to like just letting go, and how like toxic also that is in a way, like that kind of strong belief in.
Yeah, and it can drive you and motivate you to do things without you even having to really think about why you're doing them. And then the more you consider, I mean, time, entropy creates reflection, doesn't it? The more time you have to think about things, the more you'll start questioning and doubting things.
And the more you learn about your characters, the more you know about what actually happened, how these guys came to be the eternal guardians, and you had the real feeling of this eternity, that they were there for time.
Yeah.
That they were just waiting, and that they weren't actually doing anything with their lives except freelance. It doesn't seem very fulfilling.
In my mind, like the final intruders, like the disciples, they were like coming in out of some blasted like post-apocalyptic like wasteland.
Yeah.
That was my idea too, actually.
Yeah, it just felt like that.
Yeah, that was nice. I like the fact that that you didn't like explicitly state that, but it really like we all felt the same sort of flavor, which I think was really nice, very subtle.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this game.
Yes,
it was nice coming back to it. Also, yeah, I liked the addition of the randomness to the thing as well. I think that works.
Yeah,
that worked
very well.
Pretty well.
Yeah, it's certainly a game that could really go badly wrong, like go really off the rails, couldn't it? Like if all the players like weren't on the same page, like at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
I think if you had someone that was just like, like we're the skeletons and we're just gonna like hack and slash everyone and stuff.
Okay, that well, then that could go off the rails if somebody was making a lot of skeleton jokes, because there is a skeleton without a head, and that actually invites sometimes some kind of jokes. I can see that, but I think that's what the pauses also will head off a bit. This impulse to make kind of fun of these guys because they're just skeletons, and also maybe the impulse. I mean, you can't hack and slay every intruder to bits. That's not the challenge here.
Yeah, I think also it is a game that can fall really flat if you don't have a group that it is carried a lot by both like being on the same page, but also like the players being comfortable with these kind of games. I think for being like a story game, this has like the minimum amount of structure.
Yeah.
And there's also like the thing with the silence, which works very nicely if you're like lean into it. I think it can be also very like intimidating if you haven't played or are not really like understanding what's going on and stuff. But yeah, no, it's a great game. I think I'm gonna facilitate this with more people. I think in having some candles maybe, or I don't know, like actual lightning. Would be cool.
Yeah, that would work great. I think
that will work better in winter. I think because I think in Norway it's still light outside, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait half a year until I can run it.
Yeah.
But then you can run it all day. Yeah,
it's true. Every day. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for playing with me. I think I saw that both of you are playing in my Monster Heart 2 shots, which I'm super hyped about.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll just find out what the series is about. But
you don't really need to know anything about it. It's just
okay.
That the main point is that it's not set. It's set in like a Norwegian environment and not an American one.
That's cool.
It's a great series though if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, I like the fact it's set in Oslo because that's the only place in Norway I've been to, so I can imagine it in my mind's eye.
Yeah. Well, I've never been to Norway, and but I'm curious to learn about it.
Oh, I will introduce you to some very strange high school Norwegian stuff. Don't worry about
it. Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for playing, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for facilitating.
Yeah, cheers. See you all soon.
Yeah.